So that is a YA fantasy, a young adult fantasy. And that's based off of The Child in Me. So growing up, I loved the fairy tale Beauty and the Beast, but I always felt that it was incomplete and that there was so much more that could be done with that story. And I'm not the only author who loves it. There's a ton of Beauty and the Beast retellings. But for mine, I was like, you know what? It feels like it sort of is a bit too in its groove. It's too, like, I'd like to explore other aspects of it. So what I did is I actually swapped the genders and I made the beast a woman. So I completely flipped the fairy tale. And the ways that I could explore how the fairy tale sort of was stuck and find an explanation on how to get it unstuck when seen from a different perspective was a lot of fun to write.
Everybody, welcome back to Living the Next Chapter, everybody. Nice to have you back. We're meeting great authors from around the world, and it's awesome when you can find these great people. And the show is just so great. I get to talk to people all the time, and today's a recording day, so I'm talking to many authors. I'm super thrilled. And we're just going to chat about Alison's journey, and we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. I'm excited to have her here. Alison, welcome to Living the Next Chapter. It's great to have you here.
Thanks so much for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
Excellent. Let's start here. I like to start with all my guests with this. Where are you in this great big world of ours?
I am in Alberta, so we're on the same side of the Canadian border.
There you go.
Near Edmonton, the capital. So, yep, it can get quite cold in the wintertime here, but we're having a bit of a heat wave now, and nice. It's been above freezing for the past week, which is nice.
Excellent. Yeah, I love Alberta. My wife and I were there 2 years ago. Spent time for a podcast conference in Calgary, and oh my gosh, it was the nicest people in the world. Like every cab driver we had was like the super coolest person. I wanted to like just hang out with everybody. It was really cool. But anyway, it's really nice to be there. You have a great province, great people. So, excellent.
Yeah, it's nice here.
It's good. Is that where you're from? Like born and raised in Alberta?
Born, yes. Okay. Not raised.
Oh, okay.
I actually have a bit of a dual identity. My mom's American and my dad's Canadian. So I actually grew up in the States and spent a lot of my adult life there too, and moved back to Alberta about a little over 3 years ago.
Okay, great. Awesome. Well, welcome back. It's great to have you back here again. That's good. Awesome. Alison, let's talk a little bit about your author journey. We have authors who listen to the show. They come here for inspiration from somebody who's further down the path than they are. The authors that are listening, maybe they started yesterday. Like they're just brand new. To be out there and talking about a finished, published book is a dream for them. And they're looking at you going, please tell me what it's like. Because right now I'm at the beginning stages of writing this book and I have no idea what I'm doing. What would have been helpful for you to hear when you first started writing that maybe we can share with somebody listening?
Well, one thing that I like to say is that we're sort of in the golden age of publishing because there are so many ways to get your book to print. However, the drawback of that is there's so much information out there, and it can be very, very daunting to face as a new author. Like, oh, what do I do now? How do I write my book? Oh, this place tells me to do this thing. This place tells me to do that thing. How can I get my voice out there? And so this is actually a really great question for new authors to hear answered from someone who has been there before. Basically, my best advice is to shut out all the noise because there is a lot of ways to get there, and no author's journey is the same as another author's journey. So basically, if you have a story to tell, sit down and write it down and just keep on going. Just persevere. The only difference I found between a published author these days and an unpublished one is perseverance. So the people who keep on going and, take their hard knocks and get the rejections and keep on going, they get published. Because I like to say that everyone has a voice, everyone has a story to tell. And there are many ways to find your story, its readers, to find the audience to connect to.
Now, you talk about finding your voice. How did you find and establish your voice as an author?
Well, essentially, I just did a lot of I like to say I like to try everything. So one thing that I did is I did try everything, and I made a lot of mistakes along the way. So finding my voice was pretty much just writing every story that entered my head. I write a lot. I write really fast, and some things don't work. And that's pretty much how I found out what does work for me. So again, give yourself permission to fail, because you will fail. Like anything you do, there are going to be times when you fail. And I'm sure you as a musician, Dave, have had maybe some terrible performances or songs that didn't work.
Yeah. Right.
But, you just have to pick yourself up and keep going. Like it really is about just saying, I love to do this and I'm going to keep doing it, even if I can't reach everyone, because you're not going to. You're not going to have a story that everyone loves, but you'll find enough people who do.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a personal opinion question. It's not something that everybody has to follow. It's your personal take. Do you believe that it's good to build in public, like kind of bring your audience along with you while you're working on a project, at least see a little behind the scenes? And, like I like to build in public for podcasting, for example. Or do you like to kind of build behind a curtain and then just unveil it like, ta-da, I got a book. And everybody's like, I didn't even know you were writing a book. Like, which do you prefer?
Oh, I'm very public.
Okay.
And I'm very public about my failures too. When I don't complete something, I'll say, okay, this didn't work. I'm moving on to the next thing. So yeah, I feel it also gives us sort of accountability if we open the curtain and show people that we're people too. It's not that like a perfect book is birthed from us like a child.
Right.
Like it takes work and it takes time and it takes nurturing to make sure that it is ready to see the world. So sometimes part of that journey is the most interesting to people, because hey, we're authors. We're not just books. We have subjects and themes that come out of our own lives that appear in our work over and over again.
So what is your way of stick-toing it-ness? As a word? Yeah, I guess I just meant. How do you do that? Like, how do you just keep showing up for yourself as a writer and keep going forward when you're a mom, you're busy, you got stuff, you got all these things going on? How do you just keep coming back to your writing?
Well, it's the thing that I've done longest in my life, and it's the thing that I really, really love to do. I've held, over my life, I've held a lot of different odd jobs, and of course, those have all informed my writing, I guess I would say. But it's the thing I do keep coming back to. It's the thing that, I can sit down and write. And in fact, right before I came on the podcast, I was writing.
Of course.
And I was like, oh no, look at the time. I have a podcast to do. And I can get lost in it. I can get lost in it for hours. And aside from my kids, it's the thing that I love most, in the world to do. But yeah, it's like breathing to me. So, you stop breathing, you stop living.
Okay. So it's not like you're writing because you want to, it's you're writing because you have to, almost like it's just a part of you, right?
Pretty much. Yeah. And I mean, there have been periods in my life where I did stop writing. Like life did get in the way. I have 3 kids. So when they were really, really little, I didn't have a ton of time. Yeah. But I always knew in the back of my head, I'm going to get back to it. This is part of who I am.
What do you like to read as an author? The types of books? Where's your happy place as a reader?
Oh, I love to read everything. Yeah. So it depends on my mood. So, but I love to learn. And I think that is like a key trait of any good writer, that you want to figure out more about the world, about imagination, about, people on the other side of the country. Like it is something that I hope is a lifelong function of myself is that I'm going to continue learning. So I'll read nonfiction, I'll read history, I'll read fantasy, which is something I also love to write a lot. Science fiction, if there's a good book, it's a good book.
Is there a popular, common writing belief that you maybe have tried but didn't work for you, and you're like, I don't do it that way, I picked a different path? Is there anything that's kind of like you got to write 1,500 words a day? Is there something that doesn't work for you?
I sort of disagree with the adage, the saying that you write what you know.
Okay.
Because I guess I write characters that I know, but in situations that I don't. So, for example, I've never been on a spaceship. I have written science fiction. I've never seen a dragon, but the book that I'm right now revising, yep, one of the main characters is a dragon, you better believe.
Right.
So you pull some stuff that you know and use in your writing, but at the same time, you really got to let your imagination soar. So I feel like that boxes you in too much if you follow that advice.
Okay, that's interesting, especially for anybody writing any type of fiction, because, yeah, you're right. Like I've never left the planet, so I have no idea, right? So instead of write what you know, maybe write what you love.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Okay. All
Write
right.
what you love.
There you go, everybody. You can adopt that. There you go. Okay, so for readers, they're not necessarily here to learn how to write a book. They're just looking to fall in love with great authors like you. Can you kind of give us an idea of who you're trying to reach as a writer? You have a lot of things to offer us as readers. When you sit down to write, do you have somebody in mind?
I don't. Sometimes the characters run away from me a little bit. I think the basis of any good story is a character that someone can identify with.
Okay.
So to me, it's not about the background. I write in all genres. So to me, it's about the character and finding something that is sympathetic, something that a reader can say, oh my goodness, that is me, except that person is riding a dragon.
Yeah.
So I think that's the basis of any good story and how you reach a reader, And this is one thing that I say about AI writing, which is very generic. So basically, AI takes everyone's experiences from all over and all the writing and sort of makes it very general and vague and not very exciting, But a writer looks for the individual experience. A writer says, oh, because this has meaning to me, I think it's going to have meaning to others. And that's what I do. If something is very meaningful to me, I will write it down, even if it's a very individual experience, because other people will look at it and say, oh my goodness, that didn't happen to me, but something super similar did, and I can totally get this character.
That whole AI piece has come up multiple times with past guests on this show too. There's a lot of people wrestling as writers and authors about AI and its impact on the writing process. I'm seeing authors who openly say, my whole book was written on an AI model. I pushed a button and it gave me a book and I put it on Amazon. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, where's the passion? Where's the love? Where's the love for the craft and for your audience? There might be examples of when that would be appropriate to write a book. Well, you didn't write, you pushed a button. But your thoughts on AI maybe into the future as writers? How else can we cope in a world of click a button and get a book?
Well, I think it is really about the individual experience. So that is the one thing that AI is not good at. Yeah. And no matter how many iterations it has that have appeared, it's still not good at it because it generalizes. It condenses down. I mean, it's great in fields like medicine, in science. It can analyze patterns and come back and say, this is good across the board. Look at this. And it's really cut the time and help scientists have some breakthroughs. So that's where I think that it will be very functional and helpful for people. When it comes to individual creativity, you're right. It does not have a love of it. It doesn't love anything. So it is not going to have that same passion and emotion that human writers can express. So I'm not worried about it in the creative sphere. Maybe ask me that question again 30 years from now. Maybe I'll be a bit more worried. But right now, I'm definitely thinking that human authors will beat the big bad AI for many years to come.
I love it. Okay, so for readers, tell us a little bit about some of the books you have for us as readers. I'm on your website while we're chatting, but where would you like to start? Because there's so much to talk about. For readers, where's a good starting point when they come into your world?
Well, the thing I always like to ask readers, because I write in all genres, is, well, what do you like to read?
Okay.
So it's sort of hard to say, this book will fit all readers, because it won't.
Yeah.
My latest book is an alternate history called The New Empire. And they won a number of awards, so a few people liked it.
Yeah, that's great.
But it might not be for everyone. It's very historical heavy. It is set in the 1700s. But again, it does start out with character. And the main story is pretty much about a young boy and who's held in slavery and his master, and how their relationship changes over time. And it's set against a certain historical period, but you don't really need to know that. All you need to know is that it's a relationship about these two characters and how the boy grows up and how he becomes a man, essentially. So it's a coming of age tale that a lot of people, I think, could relate to.
So where did the spark come for writing The New Empire? How did that happen?
Well, definitely out of my reading.
Okay.
So many years ago, I was reading an article that said, I'm a history buff. I don't know about you.
Oh, I love history, yeah.
Well, I was reading an article that said that they had found some archaeological evidence in South America that Chinese ships back in I think it was the 1300s, had actually landed in the Americas, and they had found some evidence of it. However, they hadn't pursued it. They hadn't, kept on coming back. But my thought was, well, what if they had? What if they had established permanent, trading colonies, had a good relationship with the indigenous populations? How would that have changed history? In my opinion, it would have changed it a lot.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great premise for a book as well. I love history, so you got me there. When did The New Empire come out for readers?
It came out 2022.
Okay.
So yeah, a few years back. And since then I've been working on many new projects.
There's a lot. Again, I'm scrolling through. I'm seeing there's so many awards. There's like award this, award that, lots of reviews. Like, my gosh, you're getting a lot of great attention for your writing. Again, for authors, what does that feel like to put something out in the world, something you love, you're passionate about, a great story, and then get a response like I'm seeing on your website? Like, what does that mean for you as an author?
I think it dials back to, I'll say imposter syndrome. Okay. So no matter how far you come, there's always this little voice in the back of your head that says, oh man, I'm not really an author, am I? They must have mistaken my book for someone else or something. And I don't know. I don't know if you get this when you're performing, you're like, oh my goodness, why did someone invite me to this stage?
Yeah. Right.
So there's always that moment of doubt. Yeah. And I think that is healthy, though. There's that healthy voice in the back of your head saying, okay, I'm not good enough, so I'm going to try harder next time. I'm going to keep on trying. I'm going to keep on learning. I'm going to keep on pushing the boundaries. And I think the only time when you actually fail is when you stop doing that. When you say, okay, I'm good enough. Oh, heck, I've won these awards. I'm so fabulous.
Yeah.
I will never say that. I will never say that. I'm thankful every time one of my books is published, every time someone reads it and leaves me a fabulous review and says, I love this. This touched me. It touches me. It really does. Like when I reach the reader, because, books were my inspiration growing up and they touched me. And I was so thrilled to make that connection with the author's story. Yeah.
And going back to imposter syndrome for me as a musician, I can put in context for an author, but imagine you're up in front of a group of people doing what you do, and someone you admire, someone that you look up to, comes into the room and stands at the back of the room and watches you do what you do. And you're like, they should be up here. I should be in the crowd cheering them on. Why are they watching me? Right? And you're just like, and to see them applaud and cheer you on and encourage you. Like, imagine your favorite author walking into you signing, to a book signing or speaking in front of somebody about your book, and they're standing there watching you and just soaking it in. You're just like, oh, there's something wrong here. Somebody's going to figure out I don't belong here right now.
Exactly.
Somebody's going to be like, hey, you, what are you doing up there? Right. It's just, but that's what I love about the community, right? Is that we write these stories, we put them out there, and when people start identifying with it and it resonates with them, like that's the best thing ever, I think. And
it is.
I think sometimes we're just afraid of success. We're just afraid that what happens if this is good? What if people do love it, right? Well, then you're never going to know unless you write the book and put it out there, right? To see if it's going to resonate with people. So talk a little bit, because I encourage people on this show to always leave reviews for their authors. And I know on your website you got a ton of great feedback. What does it mean for you when somebody leaves you a heartfelt review that's beyond great author, great book, but something that's meaningful from the book? What does that mean for you as an author to read those words? Is it comforting, encouraging? Like, what does it mean for you?
Oh, it is wonderful. As you said, it's the best feeling in the world because I think one thing that any sort of creative person does is they put a lot of touches into their work that they know will probably never be noticed. They're doing it, for themselves or for that one history buff who knows about what it was like for me, California in 1762, so it's like that one person that you're trying to reach out to. And so you put in all these details and they can form sort of a rich tapestry of a background for a book. But a lot of people might just read the story and say, oh, I love the character, or, boo to this villain. Like you painted the villain so great that I was able to hate him. But then you get that reader who sees that detail that you put in, like one of 500 details that you put in that you just put in because you love it. And you make that connection. And it is amazing.
Yeah.
So it's like if you have a particular, for music, I love music. Yeah. I actually play 3 instruments.
Yes. All right. We're best friends.
But when you just hit it and you're just in that zone and the notes are just flowing and you have the audience and they're just with you. It's like that. It's like that perfect moment, and you just wish you can bottle that.
Just put it in a bottle, take it with you. That'd be
Exactly.
That'd be amazing. I just had an author on today, and he was saying that when he writes his characters, sometimes in the process of writing, a character will just kind of walk into his world and say, "I'm part of the book," and they're like, "Who are you, and who let you in here?" Right? And sometimes he gets annoyed because some of the characters are like he does not like his own characters, and I'm like, really? Like, you think everyone's like sunshine and roses all the time with all your characters, but he's like, I have some characters I just cannot stand at all. I'm like, oh, I didn't even anticipate that as a reality as a writer. Does that happen for you as well? Like you?
Well, definitely, because conflict drives the story forward. Yeah. So you have to have the bad guys. Yeah. And I particularly love writing very complex bad guys that have some good in them too. So you're sort of like, oh, well, I could sort of identify with this guy, but oh no, he's really bad. But wait a second, he just did some, oh no, he's bad. So I like that sort of give and take where you can almost like a person, but then they're just also really, really horrible. So pushing that boundary can be so much fun as an author, but at the same time, you're like, I would never want to meet this person I just created. They're terrible. Yeah. They're a terrible person. I would never want to meet this person, but I can put them on the page.
A complete jerk, but they saved a cat from a tree. You're like, oh, you had to save the cat. Okay, now
save the cat.
I love cats, so now I'm like, what am I going to do with this? Yeah, I like that. I like that kind of push and pull. I think that makes people. We're all kind of like that, right? There's elements of all of us that are like adorable and annoying at the same time. So my wife has a list, by the way, of all the things.
They all do.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Okay, so we have that one. I'm also reading on your website, The Impossible Guy. What's The Impossible Guy? I'm interested.
That was one that I actually had a publisher reach out and was like, do you have anything? And I was like, oh, actually, I have this book. It's a romance book. Okay. So many years ago, when I had my first house and I was so excited and got it for my family, it was a lemon. After we closed the sale, it was falling apart, all the pipes burst, and then the kitchen had to be ripped out, and then bats flew down the chimney, and then just it went on. It went on. Like I could spend the rest of this podcast just talking about all the problems with that house. So, we had to hire help. We had to, fix some stuff ourselves. It was a whole mess, and it took years. So I took that experience. I was like, okay, this is going back to the right way you do. I was like, okay, what can I do with this terrible experience that we've been through? And I turned it into a book. So basically, this woman inherits a house from her aunt, and she's like, oh, I'm going to open a B&B. This will be great. And there's so much wrong with the house. And that's the premise of the romance. So it's sort of like a love triangle between the contractor who helps her and the city inspector. Who will she choose? But it put in, man, if you're wondering, if you ever read it and you're wondering why there are so many details about house renovation in that, yep, that is from a personal experience.
So on your website, it says that it was available on Pocket FM, a streaming service with over 80 million plus listeners worldwide. So it's an audiobook as well?
No, it's a streaming app. So you can read it. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Read it online. It's just like an ebook. And you read it by chapter.
Oh, okay. All right. That's it. I haven't heard of Pocket FM before. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's based out of India, actually.
Oh, I'm going to have to do some research on that. Well, guess what you would do. You would do some research. Yeah, I'm going to do that. So when did that book come out?
That's a good question. I don't remember. It was around the same time as The New Empire. I think it might have been slightly before, maybe 2021.
So why all the different types of books and genres to write in? Like a lot of my authors seem to pick like one lane and kind of go in that direction. Is that just, you just love all these different types of stories? Is that
yeah, I mean, technically that's the conventional wisdom. You're supposed to pick a lane and drive in it. Right. Because, for marketing purposes, you have, you start building your readers with your first book, and they'll follow you to the next book if it's a genre they like. So you're supposed to pick a genre and sort of stay in that lane and keep on driving. I don't know. I like to make stops. I like to go on detours. So whatever story that comes to me, I will write. And so, I've had readers that have followed me from genre to genre, from book to book. Others haven't, and say, okay, I like fantasy. When's your next fantasy book coming out? And I'll tell them 2 years, 3 years, whatever. So,
okay.
Yeah, a good story is a good story to me.
Yeah, it's kind of like music. You could have a polka album, and then you could have a metal album, and then you could have a country album. And people are like, I don't know which concert I'm going to, right? Which is this,
exactly.
Right? Yeah. But the commonality there is it's all music, and I love music. So, right, exactly. That all ties it together. That's good. Which is great for your audience because they get to see different sides of you. And I think, too, as a reader, when you find an author you love, you're willing to follow them down different paths just because you love how they write, you love how they show up, you love how they build their characters in their world. You're like, oh, I'm willing to follow you as a reader. And even if it's not a book that I would naturally pick on my own, you're leading me in that direction and you're interested in it as an author. So, yeah, I'd follow, right?
That's the hope.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, and then, so I see a collection of fantasy short stories as well. Enchantress, I can't even say it, Enchantress of Books. Can you talk to me a little bit about this one? Come on.
Well, this actually started out as a collaboration. So I know a fabulous artist in Toronto, and we had a correspondence, and he does some really wonderful, digital art, paintings, and I really admired one of his pieces, and I said, hey, I would love to use this for my next book cover. Is that okay? And he's like, okay, you just have to write a story about it. And so that's where the Enchantress of Books comes in. So this was his art, the cover. And I the first story in the collection is based off of his art. And then the rest of the stories are ones, some had been published before, some were brand new. And I just put it all together because, it was a great fantasy idea, I would say. So it was definitely a collaboration that worked wonders.
Again, very unique. Like most of the authors I talk to, the cover of the book is the last thing they do. this was the start of the process for you writing those. That's very unique. I like that. Okay, that's good. I'm just keep scrolling because I can spend all day here. The Rose Queen. Again, the cover of the book makes me just lean in. Talk a little bit about the Rose Queen as well.
So that is a YA fantasy, a young adult fantasy.
Okay.
And that's based off of The Child in Me. So growing up, I loved the fairy tale Beauty and the Beast, but I always felt that it was incomplete and that there was so much more that could be done with that story. And I'm not the only author who loves it. There's a ton of Beauty and the Beast retellings. But for mine, I was like, you know what? It feels like it sort of is a bit too in its groove. It's too like I'd like to explore other aspects of it. So what I did is I actually swapped the genders and I made the Beast a woman. So I completely flipped the fairy tale. And the ways that I could explore how the fairy tale sort of was stuck and find an explanation on how to get it unstuck when seen from a different perspective was a lot of fun to write.
Okay. So how did that come to be, like that idea, that concept to flip the two characters? Like where did this come from?
Well, because it seems... I've read, again, a ton of rewritings of the fairy tale, and it felt like there was not much you could do if you kept the characters the same. So how much could you really explore if the Beast was the guy and like naturally in a position of power? So what happens if the woman is the one who has the physical strength and is under the curse? What happens with her journey to find true love? Like it's a very it's something that I think ties into modern readers and the commentary about how beauty standards and how women are viewed,
right?
And power dynamics. So it has sort of an undercurrent that wasn't necessarily what I was thinking about when I was writing it, but it's definitely there.
That's a really interesting premise too, because again, part of that story, original story, is that the Beast doesn't want to be seen, doesn't want to have any attention, and the whole love aspect of coming around and seeing that character develop. It's very interesting that it would be from a woman's perspective. I think that's, you're making me think. I like that. I love books that make me think, right? That's really cool. So there's a lot here for readers to fall in love with. There's a lot of great stories. My show is called Living the Next Chapter, so it's kind of built into the name of my podcast. As an avid writer, do you have things that we can look forward to down the path, like that we can talk a little bit about?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So back in 2024, I did this crazy project called Author versus AI, where I wrote a book a week and ended up at the end of the year with 34 books.
Wow.
However, these were all first drafts. And I always like to emphasize first drafts are not finished drafts and definitely not publishable drafts. So then I spent last year, editing a number of these works. So hopefully starting this year and next year, you'll start to see some of these books hitting the shelves. And they are in all genres. Everything from, ones that I've written before, fantasy, science fiction, romance, to ones that I had never done before, but took a stab at, such as Western, horror, literary ones, YA ones, all different kinds of genres. And all the information is on my website. So if people are curious about what might be coming next,
Wow.
It might be a number of books.
That's a lot of books to write in that period of time. That's amazing. Is there a book that you have never attempted to write that you're curious that you would like? I'd like to write a book like that. Is there anything that you haven't tried yet?
Well, part of the purpose of my project was to try all those genres that I hadn't done before. So I think I covered most of them, maybe not all of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, some are definitely ones that I might not ever do again. Like I found out that my brain's not really wired that much for mystery. Like I'm too straightforward a person. It's hard for me to drop all the clues and have them make sense. So that's not my forte, but other ones were a lot of fun.
Okay. So maybe a cookbook or
Oh, heck yeah. I would definitely do a
There you
cookbook.
go. There you go. That's new.
I haven't done that before.
Any thoughts around a children's book?
Yes, I do have thoughts for children's books. I have not written them yet, though.
Okay.
So one thing that I did when I was, when my kids were younger, most of them are teenage years or tween and doing their own thing. I used to just tell them stories at night, and I'd just make them up at the spot. And they would tell me, like, we'd be going along. I'd be like, okay, throw me a character. Tell me so-and-so, like, do you want a cat in here? Do you want a horse? And so I'd just make up a story as I went. And I always thought about writing those down.
Nice.
Someday.
Well, it's even if it's just for personal use and for your family to have those stories captured so that your kids have that to pass down to their kids down the road, that would be kind of interesting.
Definitely.
Too. Right.
That would be fun.
I love it. Okay. Yeah. Again, there's so much to talk about for you, Alison. I'm thrilled. We talked as well that you had a little thing happen for you here in Canada where the CBC talked to you a little bit about you and your writing. Could you tell us a little bit about that interaction too? Because I think for any Canadians will obviously know who the CBC is, but how did you catch their attention and how did you kind of end up talking with them?
Yeah, well, I do have a publicist, and he has some wonderful connections, and he let them know about when I was doing my author versus AI project, and they're like, wow, we haven't heard of someone doing something like this where they're just writing books, like one after the other. So they were interested in talking about that, especially since AI is something that has been on the tip of everyone's mind. And my project was essentially, doing this with human creativity and not using any computer creativity.
Wow.
I typed on a laptop, but did not invite AI into any creative space. So it was something that was sort of in the zeitgeist, really, and people were curious about. But it was a lot of fun to talk to. I've been on a couple of CBC radio shows, City News, up here also. So yeah, it's fun to sort of connect with the local community and national community also, and sort of see what people are thinking.
Good. I love when authors get recognized for doing something unique and creative, and it catches the attention of people like that. That's a good sign. That's a great sign. And I love, again, the one thing I love just talking to you, Alison, about all the things you write is just the variety. It's kind of like an ice cream store, and there's 1,000 different types of ice cream with you. You could just pick all kinds, and you just try this and try that. There's so much variety in what you do, and I think that's a unique thing for you as a writer to offer that kind of variety for us as readers. Because again, you might be drawn to one style of what you're doing, and then be led into something again that you're not even used to reading regularly from another author, but you bring us in because we love you as an author. So I think it's very creative and unique. So, and I can hear the musical inspiration behind what you're doing as a writer, right? Because you have that musical sense as well, and are willing to experiment, and and you play multiple instruments, so that makes sense too. So yeah, there's a lot of commonalities here. I'm really inspired by talking to you.
Oh, thanks so much. It's been lovely. And I do have one of the books in my project did have a musician as a main character. So I'll send you a copy when it comes out.
Ooh, okay. Well, that's exciting. So how long will it take you to go through and release the books that are going to be released from this big project? Is it going to take years to get these books out into the world then?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Authors tend not to release too many books a year, not because they can't write a lot of books a year, but because otherwise they're competing with themselves.
Right. Yeah.
So, it will probably take several years. And along the way, I'm sure I'm going to be writing more books. So we'll see if I ever catch up with publishing all the ones that are in my backlog now. But hopefully, I'm hopeful that all of these stories will come out and people can enjoy them someday.
Yeah, like you said before we jumped on, you were already writing today. So it's good to see you're in that creative space. I think I encourage all the authors listening to be in that creative space as much as possible, because more creativity will find you because you're there, you're willing, you're open, you're available to that creative inspiration to happen in the moment. And when you put it off and you put away your pen or shut your laptop down, sometimes it's hard to get into that space. So just being in that constant space of writing, again, to write that many books in that period of time is just outstanding. Just encouraging all the authors to be as creative as they can when they have time, right? I think it's a great thought.
Well, my motto isn't write every day. My motto is do something creative every day.
I like that.
So it's not always writing.
Yeah.
It can be doing art. It can be doing music. It can be as something as simple as singing a song, even to yourself. Yeah. Like it can get the juices flowing.
Wow. Beautiful. Alison, take us to your website. It's a beautiful website, by the way. If you want to scroll for days and see awards and reviews and awards and reviews, Alison has them. Talk about your website a little bit before we go, Alison.
Sure. My website is AlisonMcBain.com. And that's Alison with one L. I always like to specify. But yeah, I have a blog, and sometimes I post pictures of my kids sometimes, much to their chagrin, or family things going on. But yeah, just talking about what I'm up to. It has information about my books. I also write a lot of short stories and poetry, most of which you can read for free online. And I always love to hear from people. So if you have any questions or would just like to chat, my email's on there too. Feel free to reach out. That's
great. Alison McBain, everybody. Thank you, Alison, for making time for us. I know you have a busy day today, but thank you for jumping in and chatting about your books. Really great to have you on the show. I'd love to have you back in the future. When you have something else you want to chat about, please come back. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful to be here.
Excellent. Everyone, there's a lot of places to leave reviews for Alison. I'm encouraging you to do that every time you buy any of Alison's books. Leave a great review. I know she'd love to hear from you. Reach out to her through her website as well, and connect. I'm sure she'd love to talk to you. Alison, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks.
Hey, thank you so much again for pressing play. As you've heard, great guests on the show. And one thing you didn't hear in this conversation is what? What did you not hear? Think about it for a second. That's right. Not a single solitary commercial for a mattress or a supplement or a whatever you call it. No. Why? Because we don't want to break up the conversation with commercials. So the fact that you're still here means that you are a fan of the show, I'm assuming. So if you want to help to keep the podcast going and to make me feel really happy, all I really care about is coffee. Okay? I just got to be honest. I love coffee. I'm drinking one right now. It's starting to get cold. I need to warm it up. Helping us with our Buy Me a Coffee link over at livingthenextchapter.com and also in the show notes helps kind of keep the lights on around here. Remember, I'm doing this for free. I'm paying for everything. So I would love to have a little coffee donation, even $5. Kind of fills up my cup, and I would love to enjoy a coffee from you. So if you're interested, again, thank you for listening, but you can use our Buy Me a Coffee link and fill up the cup. Thanks for being here.